Any questions while doing this, go ahead and ask. She'd be happy to help you. Oh, here's a student, that's fine. And I'll get her going. Actually, let's do this. Sorry, guys. Just have them all over. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Hello, my name is Melanie Starr. I don't know if some of you took a class before I taught with making ribbon skirts, but I do make the shawls, I guess anything that has to do with powwows. I've been making my own shawls since I was a teenager, like around 14 or 15. Since I wanted fancier things, then my mom taught me how to make them, and then I started doing them on my own. So I'm used to teaching with interaction. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Jen did say she got you material. So if you want to take your material and fold it out to the long way, let me move back here. You fold your material out the long way, and depending on who you're making it for, we'll start with that right now. Jen did say she got you the materials list or the items you need in the instructions. So in there with the instructions, I have just to pick your material, pick what type of fringe you want to use. We have flat fringe, but you can also use the rolled fringe or ribbon. So it's whatever you want to use for your fringe. So before we get started, depending on who you're making your shawl for or for yourself, you want to take your tape measure. I don't know if I stand up. Is it going to?
Yeah, I can move it.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you want to take your tape measure, and on your instructions, I have it. If you want to hold one side of your tape measure, take it around. But the material Jen got you should be for what you're using. So if you want it to go get material from a like Joann's or Hobby Lobby, or you can measure it out that way. So I usually go from my fingertip to my fingertip, and then I allow for like an inch on each side. So that will give you your whole length of a round behind your neck. The material she gave you, though, is measured out, should be measured out, but if you want it to make it smaller, then you'll have to cut it down. So if you fold your material the long way, and I have mine kind of already started a little. So I folded it the long way, and then you want to measure like from the back of your neck to however long you want it to go, either maybe to the lower part of your thigh or the back of your knee, or if you want it longer, down to your calf. So you measure that part, and that will give you like however long you want to make your shawl or fold it. So if you fold it like that, then you get like part of the material laid like that. I don't know if you guys can see that. And then I usually pin it to however far I want, or however long I want the shawl, just something to go by. Okay. So before that, I started right here. So the bottom where the fringe goes on the shawl, I already have it sewed. I usually use zigzag on the bottom. It kind of holds it. So I folded like the bottom of the shawl. I only folded it one time. And it usually has this, like the material, I don't know if you can see that. So when it's like that, then I fold it and then it's not going to fray. So it's already like that. So that's what I did with this side. And then I just zigzagged it.
Just to put a stitch in, right?
Yeah. So this is would be the outside of the bottom of your shawl. And it's up to you if you want to double fold it like how I do the sides of the shawl, you can do that also. So it's however thick you want, I guess, the bottom of your shawl. So if you zigzag it all the way, this for the bottom of your shawl, then I started doing the fringe, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So after you sew that, you would sew all the way around your whole shawl, the whole four sides of your shawl. I always like to put my hem in first. So then I pin it, like this would be the sides of your shawl. So I pin the sides, but when, like on the sides though, is when I do the folding it 2 times. So I'll fold once and then I'll fold it again. Then I'll pin. I only do this for the sides of the shawl.
And that's at an inch or a half inch?
Well, the 1/2 inch first for a 1/2 inch and then fold again for another 1/2 inch. So you're basically kind of just rolling it for a hem. And that's just so your material won't fray or you won't have any frays. So this is like the sides of your shawl. And it's up to you if you want to do the bottom that way or just how I just showed you or how I did mine. So then I kind of pinned the whole side of a shawl. So I would sew that whole side and then even sew this just so you have it, you know, it doesn't, I know it won't fray, but I always just like to sew it. So you're basically sewing all the 4 sides of your shawl into a hem. And if you want to double fold this also into a hem, you can, but it's not, depending if it's a little girl shawl and both sides come down for the full length. I don't know if you know what I mean. But if it's like that, where the both sides meet up on the bottom, then you can put that, like how I showed you on this side. You can sew this one the same way. But if it's for a taller person, then this, I like to fold it a little longer, so one side's longer. So it's just depending on the height or however long you want your shawl. So once you sew all 4 sides, then I like to measure how long I want it, and then I pin it. So I didn't want to pin this right away. But, so, or you can pin each side and just try to keep it flat. So then once you have this all sewn, all you have to do, I like, some people don't, but I like to put a straight stitch all the way. So it'd be like this part of your shawl, a straight stitch for the part that's going by your neck. So it kind of keeps that fold in place. Some people do it, some people don't. So it just depends on, I guess, what you prefer.
Or you can do dart, what do you call it? Dart stitch? Like do a little and do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's dart stitch they call it, but it's like a, so on that, instead of doing the whole line, you can just do like space it out, you know, and put a stitch in, and that way it would stay in line too.
Yeah. You can either do that way, or if you wanted it longer, then you just use a seam ripper and take it out, make it longer. So that's how I would put it together on however long you wanted it.
Anybody have questions?
Or if you want to share what you do, if some of you already might have made a shawl or.
So when we go back to powwows, I hope to see you girls out there dancing. Michael, hope to see your mother dancing. Yeah. Just twirling out there.
So if you don't have any questions that far, I know I tend to talk a little fast. So.
And the material that I got you is called
polyester gabardine. It's usually the normal shawl material, but if you like the shiny stuff, you can get that. And I usually like to line mine, so it's not so light.
And I, of course, this is for a class, so I found this on Amazon, and actually it was about $4.89 a yard. And for all the material I bought all kinds of colors, and I got it all in 2 yards. And then the flat fringe I ordered through Crazy Crow. The college, we have an account with them, and so we get a discount, but I was able to get the fringe for $16 of a spool. But that's because we're tax exempt and so forth. But they usually run about 18, and you can pretty much get them anywhere else, Dakota Emporium or Prairie Edge or whatever site that you may be ordering some of your supplies.
Okay. And then she also has the circle fringe. This is usually on the older, like the shawls, I guess like my grandma used to have this fringe. I know I get asked to make shawls for memorials, and I use the circle fringe for shawls that they want for memorials. So, okay. So once you have your shawl basically hemmed around the whole area, and then you have the top sewn, then we go to fringing. And then once you have your shawl measured and how long you want it, then from wherever you measured, like to the back of your thigh, lower thigh, or your knee, then you measure your fringe out. So you measure however long you want it. And I don't know if you want it to touch the ground or if you want it to your ankle. You basically measure however long you want it. And then you just make sure that it can double. So if you want to start doing that, and then you cut your fringe. You can either have one color or use different colors in your shawl, depending if you want multicolors in certain areas. If you do that, when I do different colors, I try to work from the middle of my shawl out with different colors.
Okay.
And then it keeps the spacing of the colors right. Depending on how many colors you have, then I go back to the background color for maybe about this much or however long you want it. And then I start my colors back in. So if you want to use like 5 red, 5 blue, you kind of do your fringes that way. So once you have them cut like this, she gave you a needle, like a big, I don't know, darning needle or a big.
They call them fringe needles, actually.
Oh, okay, fringe needles. So you then you start fringing your shawl. Then once you fringe, it would depend on, I guess, what spacing you would like, or however.
I'm gonna come closer so they can see as you stick it in.
The spacing, I guess, however you prefer, you can go closer. Some go a finger width, some like it right beside each other. So you basically just try to only take it that much. Leave one side a little short because that's got to go through. And then you just kind of space your fringe. You're gonna have to push it hard. So then once you have that in, it's kind of time consuming. So you could probably do this while you're watching TV, or because it's going to take a little while. But if you're doing your different colors, then that's when I don't know if you want to use a piece of chalk, to let you know when to switch your colors. So once you have your fringe, make sure you line up the ends and it's straight. And then you basically just, okay, I can't work with it that way. Then you basically just put a knot, but keep it. And this flat fringe is kind of a little slippery, so you're gonna have to hold on to it. and then you put your knot in. See how I kind of bubbled it a little? You kind of have to make sure you pull it a little tight. And then you put your knot in. So then it's like that. And if you want to put them right beside each other, that's fine. And then also, people used to tie their flat fringe. I kind of started it. I don't know if this was called anything either, but you can either tie them or even leave them straight, however you want to do it. But they would tie them and maybe have them about that far down. You know, it just gives it a little more decorative. Or they even would stick a little bead in there, like a glass bead, just to make it look a little nicer. So when you do that, then you would take one fringe from each one, and then you just basically tie a knot in that one. So,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
so once you do that, then you get something like that, and then you just keep grabbing one fringe from each one, and then you keep making on how you tie your fringe.
And then how many rows?
That would be up to you. You know,
Okay.
if you want to just do 2, you know, or go a little longer. You know, usually back in the day, they would tie them to maybe about that far. Yeah. Plus, it would depend on how long your fringe is.
Okay.
So if nobody has any questions, yeah, just be a little careful and kind of take your time on when you tie your stuff, your fringes. So once you do that, you can just use one side and tie it. Or if you have a shorter shawl, then you do that other flap, the other side, and then you can fringe that also. So then once that's all done, I guess I should have went up the side. But once you have your sides done on your shawl and sewn, this is the side that, so you want to fold it maybe about that far. So then you want to go up the sides of your shawl. And it's up to you if you want to sew the side together or just leave it apart. I guess that would be on however you want to do it. But then you fringe up the side of your shawl from the bottom up, however long, I guess wherever you're going to hold it. And that's up to you if you want to do the whole side of your shawl. I just like to do it up to where I'm going to hold it. So maybe about that much of the shawl. So then I fringe that whole side up to there. And even if you want to put different colors in there too, you can. I just like to use a little piece of chalk just to mark off wherever my colors are going to start. So,
Okay.
and that's how you do shawls, multi-fringe, multi-colors, I guess. Any questions? It's kind of really simple, but just the time consuming is the fringing part. So,
You guys have any questions? Yes, no?
No questions.
Okay. Peg?
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just a little behind is all, but I'll catch up.
And like I said, this is going to be uploaded to the YouTube under Sitting Bull College. So if you want to go back and reference, you can go back to the video or you can email Melanie. What about you, Michael? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. What did you say?
On the fringing, so you do the fringing all the way around, right? All 4 sides? Or
it depends on if you want your shawl folded, if it's going to be a shorter shawl and those 2 ends match up, like the 2 bottoms, then I fringe both sides. That's if you want it heavier, you know?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
or if you just want to use one side and put your fringe closer together,
So when you only do the fringe like at the bottom, it's just gonna go on both sides, and then bottom, if you make it just the where it's not like doubled over, or it's not like you said, if it's when you fold it over, it's a shorter shawl. To make it longer, you just do the 3 sides then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are you all done?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of really quick.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys for attending. Good luck. All I ask is if you can return the needle and the container so we can have other classes. What you make, when you finish, can you guys take a picture and send to me? Other than that, we'll see you on the next class, whatever class you're taking. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.